So this is a wetland that I've been to many times, and it's succumbing to forest succession. So it's slowly getting more and more brushy and filling in. But it has elements of a bog. And right here are tamarack trees. I don't know if you can see them. They're the little feathery pine trees. They actually are an evergreen, but their needles turn yellow in the fall, and then they shed their needles. I just got bit by a black fly. But this is a beautiful wetland, and it used to have deeper spots where you would find newts. And I actually had an article about these newts published in Adirondack Life magazine back in 2012, I think. But it's a beautiful wetland. There's still some frogs here. I don't know if you can hear them. There's lots of bird life and lots of dragonflies and lots of other wildlife frequent here. And I think there's little paths that could be from beavers or muskrats. I'm not sure, but there's some paths in the bog. And some kind of, I'm not really that knowledgeable about the bog plants, but there is sphagnum moss, which is what you have in a bog. It's like a type of moss that can build these floating vegetation mats, and other trees are sometimes able to take root. But it's a very acidic pH in the water, and a real bog is actually sterile because it's too acidic for bacteria to live in it. So there's just a few types of water animals that can live in a bog. Not a lot of fish. But this has elements of a swamp and a bog together. So I think it might have even more species because there's like a lot of transition zones around it. This is just a really cool place, just another magical place associated with Starr's Barn that I have enjoyed so much over the years. So I found a deeper hole within the bog, just to the east of the bog, which is about almost hip deep. And I think there's definitely some bullfrogs live here. So I think some of the newts may be living in here. I haven't seen them yet. But it's early in the year. It's only the end of June 21st, so it's kind of a wet time of year, but it looks like the deeper water may be preserved year-round here. Probably there's a spring somewhere that feeds this bog somewhere around here. So it's kind of neat to see this, because this is a little patch of open water almost, and there's an old pine tree right there. Looks like some birds have nested on it over the years. This is pretty cool. If you listen carefully, you could see the call of the bullfrog. You could hear the call of the bullfrog. Now they're being quiet. But anyway, this is kind of neat. I'm glad this hole is here. Oh, there he goes. That was a call of a bullfrog. It sounds like a loose banjo spring. Banjo patch of that sphagnum moss I was talking about. This is very typical of a bog. And as you can see, there's plants growing in it, but it actually floats above the water, and it's very, very springy and very absorbent. And I think that the Native Americans used to use it as a diaper material. They'd dry the moss and they'd pack it in like a swaddling cloth around the baby like a diaper. It's so absorbent. You can see it's very spongy, and sometimes you can walk on a sphagnum bog and there'll be trees growing on the floating masses of moss, and they'll sway as you walk. It's pretty neat. You could actually have floating islands on a bog. So there's still quite a bit of this sphagnum moss. So that's sort of from its past, when it was more of a bog, before all the trees started growing in here.